Brought to us by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion Shots. It's time to fuel up, and it's best to do it with your favorite 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course, or even off it, you need that extra energy boost to stay sharp and energized. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best part of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com today, you can use promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to get 20% off your order. The offer only valid until September 30th on one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. The code, not good on subscription orders either. However, whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. So on Saturday, we got this report from Mary Kay Cabot that Shedeur Sanders reported arm soreness in individual drills and was shut down from throwing in team drills for the rest of the day. However, he is back at practice today, expected to be a full go on day 10 of Brown's practice after being shut down with arm soreness. So maybe not that serious big picture-wise. Hopefully it's not that serious big picture-wise, but this is something that reportedly Shedeur reported to the team, said, hey, my arm's a little sore.
Right.
It's not feeling great. Can I have a day off? I can't imagine Shedeur would intentionally pull himself if it wasn't something pretty serious, considering he's in the thick of a 4-person quarterback battle. Jason, do you have any other information you can share with us on this Shedeur arm soreness situation from Saturday? And it's a good sign to see him back today at a very minimum.
Yeah, no, I wasn't out there this weekend. We were tied up all weekend, so I did not go to practice. I'll be out there today after I'm leaving right after the show to go out there. It was funny because I thought back to last year. Remember, Deshaun missed a day with arm soreness, and I said, he hasn't been throwing. Why is his arm sore? And he hadn't thrown at practice in like 4 or 5 days. That one seemed fishy. There was just something. There's no reason for him to have a sore arm. Shedeur, as you said, G's been throwing a lot. He's been staying after and throwing. He's been throwing before. So I totally get, I guess, why his arm would be a little sore. And I think it's smart of him to go to them and tell them that, because the last thing he needs by being 4th on the depth chart is trying to keep something like that quiet and then having a bad day and giving more reason, So it's smart to handle it the way that he did. Ultimately, I don't think it's that big of a deal. That's why Dylan got the reps that he did on Saturday, because somebody had to take the reps, and Kenny's not cleared from the hamstring. So if Shedeur's out, you're not going to give Joe 60 reps at practice. So that's why Dylan had the increased role. It's kind of common sense as to why the first team reps went up. So I'll go out there today. I assume it'll be back to business as usual. And just give him a day, shut it down. They had yesterday off, so he was able to take the full weekend, rest up, and he should be ready to go today.
Yeah, it's a smart move, and let's put it in perspective. I wouldn't be surprised if Dylan Gabriel's arm is a little sore.
Probably.
Because you got to think about it. These dudes, I know Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders, every time they drop back, that's their Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They putting everything they got in that. Like there is no chill in their atmosphere. Kenny Pickett is Stefanski talked, said, hey, he trying to get back out here and speed this time type up. We gonna be smart about it. He's trying to get back in these team drills. So listen, I think, and plus you throw in the fact that he's out there 40 minutes early, he's 40 minutes late, and when the other guys are doing team reps, they're splitting, say for instance, it's 20 reps, right? They're splitting 6-7 reps apiece over there on the other field. And Shedeur usually works at the beginning of camp with the 3s or some of the 2s mixed in, but he's taking all of the reps on the side field. So the period, you throw 20 passes, he's throwing all 20 of those passes. They're splitting up 20 passes. So I can see where his arm hurts. It's a good sign that he comes back and it's a little sore. It's a good sign that he comes back. But there's always a point where rookies hit a certain type of wall anyway. Because if you think about it, where these guys come from, they're not used to being in camp where they're throwing the ball all that much. They're not going to be getting all them reps like that and doing that, and they're not going to be throwing at that velocity and that intensity. So it makes sense. Good sign to see him back, but chances are Dylan Gabriel's arm is a little sore, and Kenny Pickett, hey, his legs is a little sore. So that's just part of the game.
There's good and bad to this. I think it's mostly good. I'd say 85% good. And I don't even know if there's 15% bad. I think there's 15% that I would say is a question mark, and here's why. I love the fact that he's in tune enough with his body and confident enough in his ability where he could come forward and say, hey, I'm gonna sit this one out. If you weren't as confident in your ability, you might say, I got to be out there, man.
I got to push through.
I can't go down. I can only go up. And if I go out there or if I stand on the sidelines, I'm losing ground. He was mature enough and in tune enough with his body to say, if I go out there and start throwing the football, I could be doing what Dylan Gabriel did with the 3 for 14. We don't need that. So I love the fact that he tapped out. It's so interesting about a sore arm. There are times in baseball, it's called dead arm. You know what that is. Usually hits you, it hits everybody different times. It usually hits big leaguers around August. You just get to a point, even though you've been in that 5-day rhythm for 3 or 4 months, you get into that point where there's definite fatigue. I always would feel it here. Some guys got elbow, some guys got shoulder. Everybody's different.
It happens in spring training too.
It does. Typically in spring training, what happens is your muscles are fatigued. As much as you work out with weights, there's no replicating throwing a ball. Yeah. First of all, it's one of the most unnatural motions in all of sports. The body is actually designed to throw underhand. That's why your softball pitchers in college can throw every day. 100 pitches doesn't matter because you're not working against muscles. When you throw overhand, you have muscles that are working against one another. So it is common for guys to experience that. I would love to know, and I guess he and maybe Pops would be the ones to answer this. Like, what kind of throwing regimen was he on in the past? Yeah. And I'm guessing it was nowhere near as strenuous as this. He was always the starter. He didn't have anything to prove. In baseball, they're called leverage pitches. If you throw 100 pitches but no leverage pitches, that's a different workload than if you throw 80 but 60 were leverage pitches in a scoreless game. So these are all leverage throws for him.
High leverage.
He has to look good. So he's getting the extra zip on everything. He's throwing everything a little harder than he had to. So that probably leads to this. My thought is a couple of days away, he should be rejuvenated, strong, and ready to go. If it isn't, then you start to get concerned.
Plus, how many more throws has he made from the draft until now that he would not have made had he been a first-round pick?
Exactly.
So because he's a fifth-round pick, he's out on the high school fields, and he's like, I got to throw.
Yeah.
And he very well could have overdone it at some point.
You probably won't hear Joe Flacco getting a tired arm, and someone might say, wait, why does the kid have a sore arm, but old man Joe doesn't have a sore arm? Well, let me tell you this little something about old man strength.
Old men also know how to.
It's real.
Joe also takes off basically every other practice so far.
And here's the thing with Joe. Joe knows that he is what he is. He's not going to change anybody's mind with how he throws the football in camp. Yeah. He's just not. He's 40 years old. He's going to be 40 years old when the season starts.
The die has been cast.
I'll give you
That's a great way of saying it. But you know what? There is something to be said for a lot of times. 2 Saturdays ago, I threw 100 pitches. And we had a kid. We had a kid who's 10 years younger than me saying, what in the world? Well, at some point, you just build up, I don't know if it's scar tissue so it can't hurt anymore or whatever, but it's different for the older guys.
Coaches be like, hey, we're going to script the first 15 plays. Joe has the first 15 plays of life he's dealing with. He got scripted life. That's how old he is. So it's almost like running like a 400. and you're running the 400 and you see some of these young dudes get out.
Yeah.
That first 200.
Pace yourself.
And you looking at them, you gonna run out of gas, young pup. You doing too much. Joe come in looking around. He expends no energy. He expends no energy doing nothing. He's probably wearing slides. He ain't doing nothing extra. He know how to take care of his body. And y'all gonna be getting these reps. Joe, like, listen, I'm throwing these routes. I got a big enough. I'm throwing these 75%. I ain't giving. I'm putting nothing on this. And then
the young pups hit the 250 mark.
Yeah, they hit
and
that.
Their legs feel like they're 800 pounds each.
And then when you get to that 300 and it's time for a kick. You ain't got it. You just trying to dig for it. You ain't got it. Yep. That hurts your heart when this happens if you know track.
It does hurt your heart. It hurts because you know you're fast enough to finish strong, but you ain't got it.
They start running with that back tight. You start looking like the Hawk.
All out of form.
Why you running with your arms to the side like this? You ain't efficient. You're done. And they just get smoked at the end. You be like, man.
He'll be okay, though. I do think he'll be okay. I'm anxious to see what kind of zip he has on the ball today. And maybe you might want to think about cutting back on your pre and post throws, just a little bit. The hay's in the barn.
Yeah, you've put yourself
with your arm.
You've put yourself in contention. Like he was like, listen, I just got to be in a conversation. Just let me get me in a conversation because now I think he'll play a lot. I think him and Dylan Gabriel play a lot. I don't know what I'll be fascinated to see how these.
I can't wait. They haven't said after Friday. Kevin didn't know.
I mean,
or he hadn't told the team.
Well,
yet.
Shedeur right now is actually speaking to the media, like right now.
Oh, good.
And he just said his first question was,
"How's the arm?"
He was asked, "How's the arm?" And he said, "I'm well back at practice. I'm thankful."
Good.
He said the arm soreness was, quote, from adjusting to starting and stopping. Honestly, my arm, body weren't used to that. I've never done that in my football career so far, but I'm back. I feel better after 2 days off.
Okay, good.
I don't know what he means by starting and
I
stopping.
think he might mean throwing a lot and then stopping. So, like, it's like a pitcher. If you're in a 15 or 20-minute rain delay, you're coming out.
Yeah.
Because just the elongation of the muscles.
Yeah.
And you cool and you warm and you cool and you warm. You don't want to do that. It's not great for your arm. I'm guessing that's what he means, Jay, by starting and stopping.
I think he means like, okay, like if you get out to practice 40 minutes early and you're throwing. It's hot out there. You get warm. You're doing your thing.
Then he's doing team workouts or whatever.
Then you do
not
team
throwing for a while.
Individual.
And then you're heating it up again.
Sense.
It's like a car engine. You got to gradually flow into that. And when you throw a lot in particular, and then there's a lengthy period of time, it's really hard to come back out and just start firing at 100% again. You'll hurt yourself.
That's why I don't ever do lunch dates. People are like, you want to go out to lunch and eat? I'm like, bro, how are y'all eating these big steaks at these lunches and then going back and clocking in, bro? Like, you going to go back to the office?
Take a nap.
I'm going to sleep. Like, if I eat, once I eat, I'm done for the day. I'm not getting back on this computer checking on emails. Y'all crazy.
That makes sense.
I would imagine Pickett's not going to play coming off the hamstring, I wouldn't think.
I would be stunned.
And why would you play Joe Flacco in the first preseason game?
Right.
So I would imagine
a half for Shedeur and a half for Dylan.
And a half for Dylan.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
The second question to Shedeur was, do you know what the plan is for Friday yet? And he says he still doesn't know what the plan for himself or any of the quarterbacks is.
Yeah, Kevin said on Friday that, and he didn't say that he had a plan and he knew the plan. He just said that he hasn't communicated it to the players.
They know
My
what they're doing.
guess is he's got it figured out.
Yes.
Yeah, he's just
going to wait until whatever, maybe after the joints or whatever, the joint practice on Wednesday, and then maybe he'll tell everybody what their role is going to be. But I'm with you, Jay. I don't need to see Joe Flacco. I don't need to see Joe Flacco until the third preseason game. If they decide that he's the starter, I want to see him. I don't want it to be like last year where you go, all right, let's roll out the circus.
Yeah.
And the clowns are dropping the balls as they're juggling and the lions are falling off of the... No, let's get some reps in there. But I don't want to see him in the first game for sure, and probably not much in the second, if at all.
I don't... Now, see, this... I just got scared. I got chills. Like, because now, like, I'm trying to see these preseason games. What if they look trash?
Well,
what if they look...
It very well could.
I'm find out against the Panthers,
right,
though.
They're rookies.
But it's the Panthers, though.
I know.
And if you out here and you looking remember when we played Jacksonville a couple of years ago and it was raining? This was after Deshaun Watson had got suspended for 11 games, but they let him play those preseason games.
I remember that.
And the first thing they did was run this reverse to Anthony Schwartz.
Oh, I do remember that.
He
For the very first play.
And he got tackled, and then they threw him another ball that bounced off his shoulder pads and got picked off. Then it was a third down conversion. They threw it to, I said, they spot shadowing Anthony Schwartz.
Yeah.
And they look trash. Yeah. I don't necessarily want them to look trash against the Panthers.
Well, they can't control, I mean, look, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. You can't not put them out there because you don't want them to look like trash. I want to see the kids. I want to know what we have in these two young guys. I want to see who has command of a huddle, who looks like they belong, who looks like they don't. And
we can find out.
I want to say
learn.
this Monday with all emotion removed. If they come out and neither one of them looks great, obviously that's a good thing.
Sure.
That's a great thing. If they look bad, it doesn't mean the world is ending. If they look great, I remember when Brady Quinn looked great in the preseason. Remember that? I remember Brady Quinn lighting it up in the preseason.
yeah, we thought we got him.
So
Got him.
No, D.T. Aura was the greatest quarterback for 4 weeks that we've ever seen.
Kyle
and in his
Sloter
pro career, he's
has
got
every
10 picks and 1
preseason
touchdown.
passing record that exists and has been a horrific NFL
Yeah.
quarterback.
So-
He's barely
so-
good in the UFL.
everyone's gonna overreact one way or the other to
Yeah.
everything that they
Hold
see.
your fire.
I'm just saying.
Hey,
like
Hold your fire.
it's
I'ma
not
let
the end
you
of the
know.
world if they're rough, and it's not Super Bowl bound if they look good.
I'm gonna prepare y'all. If they come out here and throw these touchdown passes, you gonna have to get off Twitter and the internet. You gonna have to leave because it's gonna be obnoxious.
I'm already
It's
off.
good.
I'm with you. I'm hardly ever on now.
Unplug. I'm telling you, if he throw 2 touchdowns, I'm not even gonna say who it is. If he throws 2 touchdown passes, y'all gonna have to get on the group text and be like, listen, can we just avoid all internet access? Because this is getting wild.
Are you talking about Dylan Gabriel?
Neither
one. Why would it be different?
You know why. It'd be
You know why?
No, I don't.
You know why?
I don't know why it will be different.
Because he has.
don't know.
Because one guy has 55 million followers, right? It's just like if the Kardashians did something. If the Kardashians
Don't use them as an example because they're good at nothing.
They're good at marketing.
Hey, hold on.
just look
Hey,
good.
hold on.
They're
Now,
good
hold
at
on.
marketing.
Now,
Well, they mastered that.
They
You're right.
are great at. Does Kim have a law degree now?
She was going to law school. I never heard that she actually
did get
passed
the
the
degree,
bar.
yeah.
See,
I don't know that
she
passed the bar.
got a law degree. Listen,
But
shit,
look,
it came up.
Here's what, I think that the reaction should be the same. If
It
Shedeur
should
Sanders stinks.
It should,
It should
right?
be, but it won't be.
And that goes to my point.
It won't be.
And the
It won't.
little bit that I dove
It ain't.
into looking at comments over the weekend, I'm like,
See, I thought
we
you was
are
unplugged.
divided.
I thought you was unplugged. You just said you was done.
No. Here's what I see. What people send me.
Okay.
And I'm like, stop it. And what little I think I maybe saw 4 or 5 things. I think Mike sent one in the rundown.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because I wanted
saw
to
some
add
other
it to the
things,
context
and I'm like,
of our conversation.
why are we so divided?
What did you
Why?
say? I didn't even see it. What did you say?
It was an embedded link.
From Daryl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl basically
Oh,
said that.
that.
Gabriel,
And so I had
Yeah,
to click
yeah,
on that
yeah.
when you sent the rundown yesterday. And now I'm in the tweet, and I'm like, let's see how this was. Let's see how Cleveland digested this.
Hey, listen.
And one camp ran over to one side of the room and aimed their rifles, and the other camp ran over to the other
There's
side
only
and
one
aimed their
camp.
rifles.
Dylan ain't got no camp.
if you
No,
want-
he does.
camp.
I saw there were a lot of people that were saying, so
he
what?
it's not a Dylan camp.
But
an
it's a
anti-Daryl camp.
contentious-
That's it.
No,
Well,
I
it's
don't
a-
even think it was anti-Daryl.
It's an anti-Shedeur camp.
Anti-Shedeur camp.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and see, that is the problem. Like, bro, we're all wearing the same freaking helmet.
And Jay, let me tell you this. And
It's all,
Jay,
everybody's in orange.
But the
And
Shedeur
so-
fans that have arrived don't care about the helmet. They
well,
care
don't
about
come
Shedeur.
into our house and disrupt our flow.
They only care about Shedeur.
We got a vibe going.
They don't care
they
what
would argue.
color
They would
helmet he's
argue your
wearing.
vibe is losing. That's their. That's
Well,
what.
guess what? When you drafted him, you drafted the circus. You drafted the circus.
Hey, we're in
You know
laws
what?
now.
That's
right?
a point. That's
Yeah.
a point that we haven't really discussed. I don't know if that's what you meant by this. The Browns invited
No,
this in.
that's exactly what I meant by
They knew
this.
what was coming.
Yes.
And they did it anyway.
And there were teams that
And-
said specifically we knew what came along with it and we didn't want it.
And there are teams that I think are mature enough and structurally strong enough to withstand the brunt of that. I'm not sure I'd put the Browns in that category.
I would rank us 32 out of 32. in terms of, can we handle dysfunction? Can we? What happened? Now, you think we'd be good at it because we have a lot of it.
I wrote
we
after
invite it, and we don't handle it.
I wrote after the draft. The sports car was still smoking, wrapped around the tree, and they went running out to get another one.
By the way, you say when and what it'll
That's a great analogy.
They took the insurance check and bought another one.
When will it all stop? When will we all be united? Well, listen.
Jimmy sells the team.
It's kind of hard to
That
unite
ain't
the Seven Kingdoms. You got to listen. You could be a Baratheon. You could be Snow. You could be a Targaryen.
I don't know of what you're speaking. I don't know what that means.
Gee, I got that one. That was good.
Okay.
That was fire.
It's Game of Thrones.
That was hard.
All I know is this.
Well played.
The Cleveland Browns all wear the same color. It's one flag here. And if we're going to treat one player who has an awful performance any differently than we treat the other, what are we doing here? There's one set of ground rules.
Gee, you pay closer.
If you look good, and that's that. There's no I don't want to hear any. If Shedeur Sanders looks good, I don't want to hear from the crowd that's anti-Shedeur, oh, yeah, well, he did it in the second half when the third team was. I don't want to hear that.
Nobody here has followed this, I think, as closely as Garrett. He knows this better than anybody. It's my understanding, my impression of everything. There are the Shedeurians.
Yes.
And then there are Browns fans.
Yes.
And Browns fans are tired of the Shedeurians.
That is a great way of putting it. Now, I understand that. Yes.
It's August 4th. And true Browns fans would love for Shedeur to play well because they've been dying for a franchise quarterback. But they are already sick of hearing from the Shedurians.
So here, I gave this grand analogy, Mikey, and I'm going to give it to you and pass it over. When you get married to somebody, right? You marry that person.
And her family.
But it takes time, over a long period of time, before you get to actually know who your sister-in-law is, or your father-in-law actually invites you on the fishing trips now, or your nephews look up to you as a role model. You don't choose your family members, right? Your in-laws. So that first holiday season when you get married and they look at you, they don't want you to bring nothing to the table. You don't know their customs. You don't know nothing. They'd be like, sit over there, Garrett, and just be quiet. And they'd be like, I don't think your family likes me. And they're like, how'd you guess? Aunt Sally, she the last one. You've been in the family 10 years. Aunt Sally finally talked to you Thanksgiving last year, right? And you're like, what happened to this? So I always compare it to this. When you come in, people support people, right? We live here in Cleveland. We've been here forever, right? The only time you get new fans, because football is a religion, you don't get new fans. Like, you either here or there. People get drafted. There's a lot of people in Oklahoma came with Baker.
Sure.
And so those new people say, look.
And Texas from Johnny Manziel. He brought it too.
He brings it. So those people is like this. My allegiance is to him. Now, if we decide to all be kumbaya and he wins some football games, then guess what happens?
We can coexist.
Then all of a sudden, Aunt Sally starts talking to you.
Sure.
And Uncle Joe says, hey, come on over
and
drink a beer.
But if they bring this Johnny Manziel game in here, it was the Manzelians.
Yeah.
Just like the Shedeurians. All those fans, and Baker brought his too, all those fans weren't here for Brown's success.
No, it's Baker.
They were here for Manziel's success and Baker's success. But that's the wrong reason to be at the party.
But if you win, it
solves everything.
With their guy.
Hey, I got to say this real quick. I know Mike wants to go. I got to say this real quick. You were right, and I was wrong. We ain't never seen nothing like Shedeur.
I told you. Let's go.
Because when you said that early on, I'm like, what are you talking about? They carried the games in Oklahoma, but that was just Oklahoma. That was for Baker. It was like the Oklahoma fan base. They carried the games in Norman, Browns games in Norman. I'm like, that was just as big.
Are you telling me that this is the biggest circus the Browns have ever been a part of?
Yes.
Jay, you're not.
Yes.
Wait, because I remember, like, I'm not draft.
I told you.
I remember the Deshaun Watson circus.
No, that was a different.
That was a hold up.
But because of what he brought with him.
Yeah, but that divided the actual Browns fan base. That wasn't Deshaun fans.
The Baker show.
I'm telling you,
the fans.
This is different.
It's not close.
I hope you guys are both wrong in that assessment because the other ones tore our fan base and our team apart. Like gone, done.
The difference.
How many of those are we going to have within a 5-year span? We had Baker and Odell. Then we had Deshaun. Yeah. Now we've got another one.
Yeah.
Stop drafting these and trading for and signing these polarizing figures.
But here's the thing. The one thing that's difference between him is he's actually likable. He does his job.
That's true.
He's humble.
That's
true.
The locker room likes him. He's respectful. He does his thing in the community. And for the most part, when you talk about him, it's hard pressed for anybody that has met him to say anything bad. So that's the great
Not
thing.
only that, I've talked to people that thought badly of him, met him, and have come out right away and said, man, I had him wrong. He's a good kid.
Extremely likable.
Yeah.
And I talked to people.
And he comes across that way.
I talked to people in the Browns prior to the draft when there was all this stuff going on around who said, okay, whatever you want to say about him, ultimately he's a good kid.
Yeah.
At his core, he's a really good kid.
And by the way, I would take one of those over the Johnny Manziel.
Oh, 100%.
Baker had baggage too when he came here. You remember what he had?
He's suing his dad.
No, I'm not even talking about the family
But
drama.
that was going on then.
Yeah, but I'm talking about he fled from the police and all of that. Like, okay, Shedeur got a speeding ticket and people wanted to get all up in arms. So a lot of people get speeding tickets. That doesn't move my needle one bit. To me, I think before you can be a truly great player that galvanizes a team, you have to have good character. I think it's a necessity.
Yeah.
I do. Rarely, how many teams, and I'm sure you guys can probably think of one or two, how many teams have really rallied and galvanized behind an absolute total jerk? In Tampa, Warren wasn't the center of that universe. Even though he was on the field, he's probably the most impactful player. The team did not revolve around Warren Sapp. They revolved around guys like Derek Brooks, who, was the antithesis to Warren Sapp in terms of just a character guy. And so because Shedeur has that characteristic going for him, I think he's got a much better chance here than Johnny Manziel did, who came in and I'm like, I don't think this guy has the character or the person to succeed.
But Mikey, as we toss it to you,
no, we got this is interesting. I want to go for another second.
You have to, and I like the fact that he understands that you got to keep the main thing, and that is none of this works, none of it matters unless you go out there and play.
He got a ball.
He got to play. I like the fact he told his dad, "Hey, no, don't come. Like I'm not getting reps right now. I need to work on some different things."
I like that too.
And I'm gonna show you when you come. Don't like I'm working. So I like that attitude, and he understands that. Look, to be a good and to be a franchise guy, and he wouldn't want it no other way. Like I could say I like you, I could like what you do, but when you get on that field, it's about what you put on that tape.
If he steps in here and becomes Jaden Daniels' 2025 version, in no time flat, he will bring the fan base together. But that's what it's going to take. He's going to have to, and I'm not saying he's got to go, 12-5 and make it to the playoffs. Just show us that you're the guy, and that we don't have to think going forward who's got. Imagine the flexibility this gives the Browns if he comes in and has a rookie of the year caliber season where we no longer have to say, well, we don't have our quarterback. Now you can use those first round resources in next year's draft for other holes that you have, and you've got a lot of them.
You can. That's why I disagree with the premise of, all right, well, they're not going, like, if you say they're going to sabotage him, right? I said, bro, if they were smart, they realized this. If they were smart, they would realize he's the fastest way. Hey, Andrew Berry, he's the fastest way that we don't care what you did 5-6 years ago. Kevin Stefanski, you already got Coach of the Year twice. You telling me that you came across a 5th-round pick and he actually looks good and he's balling? They'll give you a lifetime deal if you want one. And look, and guess what? It works out for Jimmy too. Jimmy, you got a 3-year runway. You know how many jerseys you can sell? I mean, people.
Not only that, you've got a quarterback on a 5th-round salary.
And you get rid of the Deshaun Watson whole thing because you got a guy on the 5th round. And guess what? If Dylan Gabriel's great, he has limitations, you say, okay, well, we'll just have to be our backup. So you got your backup quarterback or your starting quarterback. And some people say even vice versa. Even if Dylan Gabriel, that gets you out of jail too. So that's why people like me are saying, guys, it may not be the obvious answer, and I know there's some skin in the game, but sometimes you got to step on a limb. If you want to get out of jail free, these two guys can get you a lot further. And then them picks next year look like gold.
And just from the salary cap, I know Deshaun Watson still has 2 years. But when he drops off, imagine in that 3rd year, if both these guys end up being 1 and 2, in whatever order, I don't care. You've got your starting and your backup quarterback on 3rd and 5th round rookie contracts. You've got real money and real runway to go out and get some free agents and make some noise.
And Jimmy's pockets makes it a lot easier to
Of course, because he'll write the checks. He's
and
proven that.
And McNuggets, I'm going to tell you what. We got 2 first-round picks next year, and I think this is a perfect segue because I think there's a guy named Michael Parsons out there available.